everyone to this week's Tim Talk. I am so happy. In fact, I found out who my true friends were this week. Just so excited. Ladies and gentlemen, Josh had an emergency actually at the dealership. We hope all is well. So I collaborated with probably the two most, number one, my dear friend Glenn Pasch, who consults not only with dealerships, but for leadership and management and how to communicate. And the one and only Live with Drive guy, who has amazing ways to communicate. And quite frankly, I want you to spend some time on that one dealership and maybe tease. We're bringing that dealership case study on Tim Talks in a few weeks. But so happy. Listen, BDCs, there's several BDCs. Listen, tuning in from around the country. I even had 2 BDCs reach to us internationally. That is not made up. Not going to even tell you the countries, but there is some international folks joining us, I kid you not, this week. And we're very excited to see you, ladies and gentlemen, on this call. So Glenn, thank you. Steve, thank you for jumping in on short notice. And again, we hope all is well with Josh Mitchell. And man, let's just dive right into it. Let's talk about BDCs. Let's talk about engaging ways to communicate. And we've got BDCs listening, guys, and I know you know that. Let me start with Glenn. You know, when we unpack this, we always say that, in fact, you guys are already getting fan mail. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Wendy Reeves just said, what a great lineup. Hello from Phoenix.
Oh,
Wendy, by the way, and I don't want to do this wrong, I will be coming out there. Hopefully we can maybe break bread if you're not scared, but I will wear a mask. But I'm going out, I'm taking a 10 days, and I'm driving my son cross country as he goes as his sophomore years at Arizona State University. So we will be seeing you soon. So I think they say hook 'em or fork 'em, yeah, but I'll be careful there.
Yeah, watch that.
Yeah,
really.
I need to be careful there. Yeah, because they're the Sun Devils. He has a little fork. And Terry Neal saying hello. Now it's, I mean, all I got to do is put Glenn Pasch in the Live with Drive guy, and I get more commentator and more fan mail than anything. So,
get it going.
Awesome, baby. Awesome. Well, let's get right into it. Glenn,
yes.
BDCs now are joining internationally. That's no joke. And give us just the basic framework to any BDC manager, maybe just BDC reps. What are you seeing that's working as you deal with major corporations, major leadership across the country? And when you get down to it, it's all about communication. What are you seeing, Glenn?
Well, there's two sides to that question, or my answer is I see really good communication. I see really good engagement because it's well thought out from leadership down. It's planned out, not necessarily written out word for word, but conceptually they'll say, day one, let's answer their questions first about the car. And then each day we start asking them something else that's relevant, that creates value, as if they were standing in front of us on the dealership lot. On the flip side, I see horrible communication or lack thereof, because we still are caught up in this concept of we can't do anything till they get here, right? And you know, we just were at DMSC and we talked a lot about how COVID forced everybody to say you have to figure it out because nobody else can come into the dealership. But that's the two extremes that I see in BDCs. And then another piece is I'm starting to see the evolution of, I hate to say it, some BDCs are going away, or the idea of a BDC, meaning that they want people now to start doing more of the whole process end to end, maybe not a single point, but not just get appointment and hand it off. We need to expand a little more. So that's what I'm seeing a little out in the field.
And that's a good transition to you, Steve. You know, we've had this conversation many times. You know, I love your, I don't think it's an emoji, but the GIF that you put together on how do you feel during this COVID. And look, we thought a few weeks ago when we were talking that it was dialing way down. And look, again, this is not, we will never talk politics at Tim Talks. No, so no matter what news channel that you turn into, the cases are going up. That's because they're testing more, but yeah, cases are going up. So people are very sensitive to that. So I just, man, you have done some creative stuff. You know, the great thing about Tim Talks, whether you use Car Now, whether you use Drive Centric, man, we want to serve you. We want to love on you. We want to get better together, whether you partner with us or not. And if you do, great. And if they're not, that's okay. We can get through this thing. But what are some of the creative things? Because look, BDCs are listening right now that they can use, that you do through your CRM company, but they could do as BDC agents across the globe.
Yeah, you know, well, the first thing is thanks again. And like I said, thinking of me just short notice, because it's always good to be a part of this and really help educate. I mean, that's one of the things I'm really big about. And, you know, I've always came from the medical industry where I was a patient advocate. So I'm always trying to be a customer advocate when I'm doing these shows. So, yeah, I mean, I know everybody is doing the calls and the emails, calls and emails, calls and emails. And the study, I know you kind of referenced it, you know, it's doing the right activity to get the better result. And I think that's what a lot of stores just are still not doing. They're measuring the 100 phone calls. And let's face it, you're not going to pick up an unknown call, Tim, or you're not going to pick up an unknown call, Glenn. It just doesn't happen in 2020. And I think what we have to focus on is texting, video. You know, Tim, you got the streaming video, right? You know, as far as out there and educating. You know, we just launched live rooms. I literally, right before you guys called me, we had a BDC person who was on the phone doing a live streaming video, filling out a credit app and scheduling an appointment and coming in. I mean, that is what we have to do, is you just got to think about humanizing the car buying experience and how the customer wants to communicate to you. Stay on that platform. You know, I was talking to Bob Lanham quite a bit on Facebook, and, you know, because we integrate in with Facebook Messenger with Marketplace. So people are like, why would somebody transition from Facebook to like texting, for example, when you're on, I agree. I'm like, it doesn't make sense. Stay on that channel on communication versus switching, because then you confuse the customer. So that's what I always tell everybody is set the stage, tell the customer the expectations. We can do a lot of this via text. We can do a lot of it via email, whatever. Hey, we get cars every day. I'm going to send you videos of the car. You know, you don't want to come out of your house because you're concerned and your immunity system's low, you know, and things of that nature, you know, with all the virus stuff going on. Man, there's so many things we could do to outreach and serve the customer, as you always say, you know, and bring that virtual showroom right to the customer. And that's what I think a lot of dealerships are really starting to do more and more because of the situation we're in.
So I want to get a little bit more personal, and Colleen, I see your shout out to ASU. I mean, man, all I have to do is say ASU and it blows up. So amazing. DM me, all you ASU grads. Terry Neal, hello to you too, as people are coming in. Guys, thank you so much. And I want to get personal. You know, Jason Scott is a GM at a Toyota store, a very successful Toyota store in the Hendrick Group, and you know, he said, so BDC. People, I want you to listen. Internet managers, you know, Josh, who is going to be on this call, you know, not as only, I believe, is he head of the BDC now, but he's head of the internet department, and more dealerships are making them one and the same. But Jason told me something that I shared with you, Steve, that listen, every BDC agent and every internet agent that's answering these chats, these leads, these emails, listen very closely, and I want you to come in and listen closely. He said, Tim, I tripled my lead conversion. Let me say it again. I tripled my lead conversion when I started talking to customers like I started talking to my family and my friends. Let me say that again. I tripled my lead conversion. If you don't get anything else, and that's just not because I'm talking, I just want to make sure that I'm looking right in the camera and I'm talking into your soul right now.
Yep.
You're healed. I'm telling you right now. Listen, all you've got to do is communicate with people, not from a script, but communicate with them like they're your family. Now you have to, now what he did is he looked and he put in an Excel spreadsheet and he hit Control F and he showed me how to do it. When you send a haha, or you send an OMG, or you send a GIF, that personalizes that conversation. So you can't just say, hello, welcome to Hennessy Lexus, haha, obviously, and he literally said this. He said, when we sent more than 3 of these, whether they were these OMGs or whether they were GIFs, or when we sent 3 or more on an ongoing conversation, the entire close rate went from 7 to nearly 22%. And Steve and Glenn, I know you've got stories like that because we represent, gosh, probably 5,000 or 6,000 dealerships right here. We talk to a lot of people. Add a little bit more to that. Are you seeing that, Glenn? Are you seeing that, Steve?
Well, what I see is, it's interesting. What I see is twofold. One is people who are willing to do that, like a Josh, who are trying to strategize and find new ways. I try to take it like he's taking it further. My first thing was always to say, well, if Steve was standing in front of you pointing to the Toyota Corolla and they say, hey, can you tell me about that? What would you say? And as we're walking across, I'm going to ask Steve a bunch of questions. Why? I'm building rapport, trying to make sure he gets the car he wants. But then when we convert that to listening to phone calls, looking at emails, their chats, even their videos, everything is completely opposite to that, as if we're guarding some secret. So what Josh is doing, and I applaud that, is he's saying, what if they were standing in front of you? How would we do this if this was our friend? I always said to dealers, let me ask you a question, and salespeople too. If your mother, assuming you love your mother, if your mother comes into the dealership and you didn't wait on them, how would you like her treated? Yeah. And why can't you do that for everybody? That's like when you put that in your mind, you go, you don't want her sitting there for hours. You don't want games. You don't want all of that. And if they're texting her, what do you want her to do? Or if they're sending emails, why aren't you asking questions? You'd go back to the salesperson going, that's my mother. So once we start putting that through that filter, it pivots right to what Josh is saying is, hey, we can be human. We can laugh. We can have fun. Car buying's supposed to be fun. But what we've done is we put it into these templates, we put it into these scripts, and all we are just factory of pounding the phone, saying the same thing, and every dealership in the area saying the same thing. Come on in, come on in. So when someone like Josh or any of the internet and BDC people here, when you all of a sudden put your humanity out there, you are such a beacon, such a difference. They may not love your car. They may not buy that Toyota for whatever reason, but they'll give you a shot at least because you're being different.
Yeah, that's great. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'll just piggyback on this. So one of the I always learned from other sales related jobs, obviously I did in other industries, is, if you hook up with the right partners and the partners communicate, like for example, obviously I represent DriveCentric, a CRM. So obviously me and my sales team, we're on the front lines. So we communicate to our dealers the way we expect our dealerships to communicate to the customer. And even our account managers take the same method. So for example, when we're talking about GIFs, we send GIFs every day to every DriveCentric customer. And I even say, what's a conversation and what is a text message, or what is, we have to be able to, I was literally on the phone today with a dealer and he said, send me the pricing of your system. You know what I said? You'd be crazy if you didn't get your customers on the phone about talking pricing about the car. I don't do that. Every pricing conversation is a conversation. And if it's a hard conversation, we got to get them on the phone. What's a text? What's an email? What's a phone call? Now, I will tell you, just like I love talking GIFs. So, I do have this, and this is going to be my lesson for the day. So if the dealer is not engaging me, what am I going to send? A frickin' template, or am I going to send this? And I will tell you, this works every time. I will get a reply, and I could do GIF 101 training. What am I going to say that this GIF doesn't? Does anybody want to give me that? So this right here, you will get engagement pretty much 9 times out of 10. Works every time. And I mean, like I said, it's one of those things where, if you don't practice it and you don't start thinking about it, then you never get better at it. So I always look at the situation. I'm trying to unshare my screen now. Stop share.
There you go. Stop share. But the funny thing is, see, that comes from leadership. You know, the problem is if we have BDC people on here and they're going to go, I'm going to go do that. And all of a sudden you do that, you end up could get disciplined or fired going, hey, that's not the way we do this. Now, or any success, you know, we talk about it all the time. 50% of any decision, any success is the leadership. Technology, all the rest of that stuff is the other half. So I love this, but if BDC and internet people, if you love this idea, well, then go grab a meeting with your leadership and say, hey, I'm thinking this. Could we test this? And instead of trying to get all, like a lot of times we have BDCs with 8, 7, 8, 9, 10 people. You can't move the whole room. Pick 1 or 2 people, BDC managers. Right now, if I said out of your team, there's 1 or 2 people that you could test what Steve just did, who would you pick? And like that, you know who that is because they're adaptable, they're flexible, they'll listen to you. Work out the kinks with a small group of people. So go to your owner and say, hey, can we test something? I saw this. These people say we're going to get triple the engagement rate and then we're going to get better closing. Here's my process. Here's what I want to try. I only want to try it with 2 people. I'm not blowing up every lead, but can we try it with these 2 people? Let me run it for 2-3 weeks and I'll come back to you.
Yeah.
Right.
Keep in mind, it's just a tool. It's just one out of all these opportunities.
I know, but it's that idea of I can break out of what I'm stuck with, right? It's either I'm stuck with because the manufacturer says we have to do this, you know, and again, that's a whole other conversation about what they count as a great first response. Like I still don't understand if somebody texts me why my response as a text doesn't count as a quality first response. No, I got to still send them in,
It does.
For some OEMs, other ones that you still have to send an email to. Like
the bulk of them, yeah, like General Motors, for example, they still, you know, for some reason are phone and email. But the majority.
Well, they're moving now because some dealers are starting to raise their hands and going, I'm losing customers because they came to me on this. I want to talk to them just on the channel that they reached out to me, right? And it's an interesting thing. What you said, Steve, was we need to talk to the people in the channel that they want to and stay in that thing. But we still have these barriers that say, yeah, but we have to get this, or our websites are designed to, we got to get this, right? So hopefully everybody's listening by coming to these conferences or listening on these webinars to say, hey, we have to evolve. We have to sort of loosen the reins a little bit on the dealers. So people like Josh or those creative people or Steve coming in or Tim coming in or I coming in, we say, hey, we want to try a different idea that everyone's going, all right, well, let's see. Right? Just like the concept of you hired a trainer and said, 100 phone calls are going to get more things. So you tested it, you tried it. What's the difference between trying different responses or, to your point, trying different tools, sending a video, live rooms, let's send GIFs, let's do this. If we're just trying to hook people to at least be interested in us, we can't be a one-trick pony anymore.
Right. And I just like the idea of, you know, the case study, and you mentioned this earlier, Tim, on the case study that we did. You know, many stores who are going out there and on the BDC side, and I hope people resonate with this. The days of making 100 phone calls and 50 emails, I just think today is just very inefficient. And the case study we did, they changed from going 100, and we're gonna have them on the show next week, Tim. So this will be a great, you know, for your viewers who are going to be on here. They're going to be on next week on the Tim Talks show to talk about how they transition their dealership from going from do the task to do the task get engagement. And what they've done was they really empowered their team. And that's what you're going to hear next week is we've empowered our team. Make 120 total activities. We don't care if it's phone, text, email, or personalized video. Do 120 activities. And you know what they're doing? 160. Because at the end of the day, they're focused on the engagement of the customers. They invested in the right tools, and they're talking about more responses. If you, me and you and Glenn, we could go back and forth 10 times via text. And that, I just equated almost 10% of my total task just because I'm engaging one customer. You know, so it's no wonder why they're doing more activities.
But to your point is they're measuring the right thing. They're saying if the end goal is engagement, What are the best ways to engage? Again, you can't make 100 phone calls without making at least 50 of them at the wrong time of day. So no one's going to answer the phone. So that was useless. And if I'm just going to pound emails but if my website has a gate block where it forces me to give you my third email that I never go check just so I could use your tool, well, then now those leads are counted, and 20% of probably all the leads in a lot of those gated websites are garbage, but yet we're held accountable and we get penalized for that. So to your point is, if we just open it up and say, I don't care, just engage people. And you have a whole toolbox of how to engage. You can use video, you can use GIFs, you can text, you can do a live room, you can send an email, you can phone call, you can, who cares at the end of the day? How many people did you engage with? How many people did you get in? And you'll get more people in if you have better conversations.
Well, and here's the thing, and this is what their study showed. And again, they can talk about this next week, but in the study, and Tim, I'll be more than happy to go through the study with you before, next week. So you're well educated on the show next week. But these guys, their engagement is 70%. So if they got 1,000 leads, they engaged 700. They converted 700 engaged leads, because I can't schedule an appointment of somebody I don't talk to. So
Right.
That's the big black hole. Everybody says, oh, here's our internet leads, how many appointments, how many show, how many delivered. That's old school. Now, if you can measure 70% engagement, so I'm talking to 700 customers, how many of those did I convert to an appointment? Yep. And that's what dealerships got to celebrate. If we're not asking for the appointment, and their study and what they're doing, and you're going to love these results, 50% of the engaged customers converted to an appointment. What's even better was once they scheduled an appointment, what they changed in their process, they scheduled the appointment, they sent a personalized video to each of those customers. And when they measured it in 3 months, 88% of those customers showed up. So they're converting about 70 to 75% of their appointments to a showroom. That's what people need to celebrate at the dealership from a process perspective.
See, and that's a point, but way back, I'm not going to date myself. When we wrote the book, Selling Cars in the Digital Age, we went on that 4x60, which was 60% engagement, 60% appointment, 60% show up, but it was always hard to measure engagement. All the CRMs struggled to measure engagement. So the only thing you could really lean to is, well, that would be 36% appointments. So listen, you got to get to 36 to 40% appointment to lead. And the assumption was, well, then I would have had to have engaged that many people. But you're right. Now, if you can measure that, then it's accountability. Because again, if you just measure a certain percentage of appointments, you could sit there and say, I'm doing good. But then Steve's going, well, wait a minute, you engage with 70%, but you only scheduled 20% of those. Yeah. But look, man, I hit 30% appointment rate. Yeah, but look at all the opportunities you missed, right? Look at this.
That's what it could be. That, number one, they could be cherry picking. It could be a whole bunch of other things, but yeah, it does open the eyes, especially when we're doing account management. I just did one with a good store literally this morning. And, that's what I always love, is to do these kinds of conversations with the general managers, the GSMs, everybody in the room on how to manage the store and really identify where the opportunities are being missed. And it's just hard in other areas. So anyway, Tim, I know you haven't said anything in like 10 minutes.
Hey, listen, I don't want
his show. We've taken over.
We're taking over the world,
We do have a couple questions. Colleen, by the way, Stacer, good to see you. Thank you for dialing in, and congratulations on your new car. And Ricardo says this. Ricardo says, I like the way, there's two questions, so I'm gonna take the first one. I like the way adding a personal touch like OMGs and ha-has throughout the conversation, but some claim it's just unprofessional. We're not saying, listen, we're not saying you have to force feed all of these in there. This is what, look, when I was selling cars, and and let me just first off saying, I used to hate people that starting a conversation. It's like my mom and dad saying, well, when I was in school, I went up the hill both ways in the snow, blah, 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 blah. But I sold cars for a long time, okay? But I wanted to out-experience. I wanted to give that customer such an experience that it was a game. Yeah, I wanted to sell, but if I gave them, and Glenn's laughing because he knows, and you're laughing, because you know how competitive I am. I mean, I want to love on that customer so much that they're like kit in the face, like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Because what happens is, listen, whether you believe it or not, This is a 4-year-old study, and I guarantee you it's still true. Driving Sales did a study. I've mentioned it 1,000 times in 1,000 different talks that I've done. Driving Sales says that 99% of all car shoppers, those are people that text, that chat, that email, that even call, 99% expect to have a bad experience. I am one of those. I am in the process. I just bought a car for my son. I'm looking for a car now, possibly for myself. And those phone calls I'm listening to, but no one, it's the same stuff over and over. BDC manager, listen to me, internet, whoever, salesperson. When that person comes on the lot, when that person chats in, get close again, we're going to get personal. Listen, you need to make it personal with you that, listen, I'm not going to try to get a conversion. I'm going to try to just overwhelm this guy with such an amazing experience that he just feels compelled to come to my store. Let me get to another question real quick. Simon Rodriguez says, hey, I represent a multi-brand BDC. Would you relate those familiar phrases to every dealership in terms of language? So I think and Simon, please, you can text, we'll see it immediately. I think what Simon's referring to, as you were referring to, Glenn, the typical, thank you coming in from ABC Toyota. You know, we've been here for 30 years. We have the largest selection. We're here for you. What's your name? What's your number? When can you get here? Right? It's the same crap everybody, not everybody, hopefully not our customers, but the same crap everybody does. That's what we talk about when we're talking about the same old, you know, I've been into zillion BDCs, and you know what they have all over the wall? Scripts. Hundreds and hundreds of scripts. This is what you say. This is what you say. It's okay to reference, but make it your own. And when you make it your own and you get it personal. So listen. When we put all this in the crock pot, okay, with what Glenn said, what I'm trying to keep up and say, and what Steve, because you guys have brought the meat and potatoes. I just gave the appetizers. So this is good. There's a reason all this happens, and God bless all of you, and thank you for coming on. But anyway, when you put it all in the crock pot, what we're saying is, when you serve your customers, when you differentiate your dealership, when you make it personal, and listen, we all have choices in life. We have choices when we get in, no matter what you're doing, whether you're sitting down answering chats, no matter what your job description, we have choices in life when I'm going to dominate today and I'm going to get better today, or as people over 40 like myself remember, the Dunkin' Donuts guy, time to make the donuts, time to make the donuts. I'm going to answer some chats. I'm going to answer some leads, you know, and we go through this Monday process. Man, get fired up. Life is too short. If anything that our present climate is telling us in the United States and all over the world, that man, life is short. If you're privileged to have an occupation and a job, man, go crush it. And you crush it by not doing those traditional things. We're the oldest, we're the longest, we have the biggest inventory. What's your name? What's your number? You do that by, hey, my name is Tim Cox at Hennessy Lexus. I'm here to serve you. You know, how can I serve you today? You know, those type of words open up. And then once you, who was that said that? Once you, goodness, now a lot of stuff's coming in and I lost my, Ricardo. Once you establish rapport, Ricardo, with that customer, then you can go into the ha-ha, or because listen, we as human beings are reciprocal. If you crush me over the head with what's your name, what's your number, when can you get here? As soon as I come on your website or the first conversation, I'm not going to give you nothing. But when you give me that video, when you have the ability to go in and pull a video of that car or whatever, and you send something, and then you ask for it, people are more likely to give you, look, they wrote it in a book a long time ago, do unto others as you want done to you. When you do something good for somebody, when you give them something, they're going to give it back. That's all we're saying.
Yeah, and let me jump in real quick because I want to address something that Simon said there. I think it was Simon.
Simon said.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, my whole thing is, you know, how you communicate being professional. Let me tell you what because I think anytime you go in and you think it's unprofessional, that's what I call head trash. I love the term head trash. You're preconceiving the notion of what you're doing is something and it causes you not to do it. And that's just not fair to yourself. Now, let me tell you what I believe is unprofessional. When I get phone calls 2 or 3 times a day, or, you know, if I secret shop a store, I think that's just downright annoying. You know, because especially if you're calling somebody's cell phone versus somebody's office line, I think the templates that, you know, again, it's in the eyes of the beholder. And what do we do at the dealership? You sit there and say, call till they tell you not to call no more, right? Is that right, Tim?
Until they buy or die.
Buy or die. Now, I mean, that to me is not the way of the future. And I'll tell you, I called on neurosurgeons because I came from the medical industry, general surgeons, orthopedic surgeons. And let me tell you, they put on the same pair of pants you and I do. It just may be a nice pair of pants. All right. And they communicate. They're in the OR listening to 80s music while they're doing surgery. I'm telling you that it doesn't matter who they are. They're human beings like everybody else. 1 billion GIFs are done daily. And you know what? They don't like it. They'll tell it to you, just like the phone call. So don't go into a preconceived idea. My perception of the car business, if 90% of customers don't trust us, we need to change it up dramatically. And I think what Tim is saying, I think what I'm saying, what Glenn is saying is try different methods and see what happens. If they don't like it, they'll tell it to you.
And so, and to jump off of that, because I know some people are going to be sitting there going, well, so there's a couple things. What Tim said is don't come in and just do your tasks, right? If you're doing things to check the box, but that's also the environment. And as leaders, if you're a BDC leader or an internet leader, or you're a dealer here, if your employees are basically doing things because they're afraid they're going to get yelled at, then you're just going to create, I'll just make some phone calls or fudge or do whatever just so I don't get yelled at. They're not worried about quality. So everybody needs to just take a step back and say to yourself, as a person in your dealership, so there's two parts to this. Number one is, what do I want my customers to feel when they leave? What do I want them to feel when they leave? And then you build your process. And then you say, well, what do we have to do? We have to do to make them feel that way. Then we build our processes and we train back. Now, you as a person, the gentleman who said, I don't know if that's professional or not, or I'm not sure. A great place to start is, what do you like? Remember, you're a consumer. Think of a restaurant you went to. Think of a store you went to. When was it a great experience? When you came out and said, oh, that was great. Well, what did they do? And when you walked out and you said, that was brutal. What did they do? And then start building your structure off of that. If you getting, to Steve's point, phone calls at a certain time that are bothering you, then you starts going, well, wait a minute. If it bothers me, that's what I always used to say. If it bothers you, it probably bothers other people. So don't do it. Yeah. Figure out strategies, try new things, but you can't just throw things against the wall. You just have to think about it and say, what is our dealership, right? So the one person who said we're in a multi-brand, well, what happens if you have a high end and I got a Mercedes dealership and I'm also over here, I got a Honda deal. There's different expectations from the customer. So I have to build different experiences, but the core of it is still, I'm serving you. I'm answering your question. I'm providing value. I'm making this easy. Why? I'm the expert. You're not. I'm making it easy for you versus I'm the expert and I know I'm going to take advantage of you, which is what people think. Now we're moving past that. But this is your opportunity right now while everybody's locked down to figure this out. And here's the other key. When we come out of this, I will bet right now, the dinner Tim's going to buy me. I'm telling you.
I am too.
I tell you right now, half of the dealers at least are going to go back to their old habits. They're going to go, that's all done. Let's go back to what was comfortable. And if you want to really accelerate and dominate the market, this is the time to work out all these problems, get rid of all the stuff that didn't work, because now I have to work out things because I can't get them into the dealership, or that's limited, or I have to give them more information over the phone. If you keep all of that and say, this works, let's move forward and double down on this, you'll dominate the market. But if you go backwards, you're going to be like everybody else who goes back to, hey, thanks for your car on cars.com. Great, it's available. When do you want to come in? Next day, hey, did you get my email? When do you want to come in? Boom. Hey, are you still in the market? When do you want to come in? And you're just going to lose.
The one thing, and remember, number one, a lot of people don't listen to voicemails, so read the transcription. And, when you're communicating via text or via email, you're only communicating at 7%. And I think what we're trying to say, again, not to, everybody's market could be a little bit different, but I think as human beings, we all communicate the same way. When you do the little touchy-feelies like an emoji, a sticker, and you communicate, you're adding a level of tone to the conversation that you're not getting. And that's what we're talking about. Is it professional? Well, you're adding tone. you know, and so your text isn't misinterpreted, and or your email's not misinterpreted. And that's the strategy. That, you know, I mean, you're going to communicate how you're going to communicate, and whether you believe it or not, if it works, if it does work, if you like video and you say, oh, I like doing video, it just, you know, just talk to the customer. I always tell everybody is, if you want to see if it works, whatever you're going to do it to your friends and family first, because they're customers. And if you communicate that way to your friends and family, then you talk to your friends, your customers, as if you're friends. And that's what you need to mirror, basically.
I do want to get to some of these questions. You know, Terry Neal, thank you again. You tune in every week. I mold myself to each customer, yet maintain genuineness. That's the key. You know, there's certain things that, you know, you can, especially if you're in front of them, obviously, but especially digitally, there's certain things that, you know, you find out what's important to them and you serve them, and you're forthright with information. Kudos to you there. And Ricardo says, great ideas. As phone guys, we get it. Getting our GM on board will be a different story. Kia, Toyota, Shift Digital has planted the seed to them that this approach is not good. Great feedback. Ricardo, would you please, you know, I would love to have a conversation with you offline. I think that's a bigger conversation. We've got great friends at Shift Digital. They want to serve their dealers as well. I think that might have been misconstrued. I'm not sure. If you want to get on a phone call with your GM, we would be happy. All of us, quite frankly, would be happy to join that phone call. The one thing I love, you know, I love about my friends, and you're seeing on the screen my friends in this business. They're genuinely, they want to help. Whether you use their products or not, they and we want to help you. So please reach out to me, easy at tim@carnow.com. I'll give you my cell phone number, 770-480-7695. We are here to serve you, 770-480-7695. If you want me to pull Steve in, you want me to pull Glenn in, I'll be happy to pull these guys in, and we'll try to get better. And look, it's not a, hey, these guys, well, let me just give you, Ricardo, some advice. When you go to your GM, you can't say, hey, we're doing everything wrong. Basically, you're calling his baby ugly. You're doing everything wrong. These guys on the phone, they represent 7,000 dealerships, and you know what? They're saying we're doing everything wrong. You're not going to get anywhere. Set up something. Hey, listen, I heard some feedback. I heard about some stores. You know, we're going to have, and I want to make an announcement. We are going to have Bob Lanham. We're going to do a special edition this Thursday. If you missed this, you're crazy. 2 of the most attended sessions in DMSC, Bob Lanham Facebook, and the future of automotive retail. You're going to talk to a CMO in a rural market in Kentucky, and Sarah Fisher. I keep bringing her up because year over year, she got to the store in 2018. They increased, let me say this, 3,000 units. I'll say it again, 3,000 units. From 19 to 20, they're on track to do 5,000 more units than the previous 18 before she got there. And listen, you will be crazy if you miss it. And we're going to give ourselves plenty of time. Again, Bob Lanham, the head of all Facebook Auto. I know, Steve, you know him very well. Glenn, you know him very well. Another great guy, just wants to help. But you're going to be able to ask the head of Facebook, okay, Auto, any question you want. He's going to answer. And Sarah Fisher, not just because we think but because she's proven, and she'll even go through some numbers. So we are going to do that. It is actually Thursday. Terry Neal, I see you coming in. It's actually going to be Thursday. Holly Ann, will you text me? Because I just ADD'd out the time. We're going to send you, it's typical Tim, baby. It's typical Tim.
That's right. No, it's all good. I'm the same way.
So Thursday, it's going to be Thursday. And we are going to send you the invite, register for that. We're going to give you enough time to ask as many questions as possible. Guys, as we kind of land the plane, first of all, I call you friends. I am going to take you to dinner. It's not going to be Waffle House, or it's not going to be McDonald's.
Come on, I like
Chateau Blanc. Chateau Blanc.
I'll take you to Waffle House. It's good. We're down. I'll take you to
Chateau
Waffle
Blanc. No, Chateau Blanc, Tim.
Huh? Awesome. I will get that registration out to every one of you guys. It's Thursday. Do not miss it. Thursday. I believe it's at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, but I will check that and we will send that out to you. So if you're on this, we'll send it to you. Glenn, I want to give you the opportunity, and Steve, you did such an amazing job. Give us some closing thoughts, Glenn and Steve, and then we'll land the plane.
Yeah, so as all of these, we could go on and on and on about all of this. So one of the best comments I heard from one of our panels at one of my panels at DMSC was someone said, it doesn't have to be perfect, but you got to get started. So, you know, you got to start thinking about what's working, honestly, what's working, what's not working, be willing to change. And as Tim said, and I said earlier, you can't move the whole ship. You can't move 20 people at the same time, but you can try 1 or 2 people, and you can try a controlled test. Keep everything the same, and just one piece we test and we change. But you have to start evolving, because customers no longer are going to respond or engage to limited places to engage, meaning, you know, email, I don't even look at half I do later on. So if you're trying to get to me now, when I'm on the website, right, there was part of it, we didn't even get into that, but, you know, just think about it. If I'm on your website and I push a button saying, can somebody help me ask a question, and you give me a form, you basically told me, no, you're really not that important. Your business, we're closed. And, like, that's what you have to start thinking about. You have to look at your website. You have to look at where customers can potentially engage with you. How are we engaging? And really, at the end of the day, are we engaging, or are we talking at people? Are we doing everything, all the communication, because it's convenient to me as the dealer, instead of making it convenient to the customer? Remember, you have to serve them. Serving means, I was a waiter. What did you do? You went up and said, what can I get for you? You didn't walk up and go, here's what you got tonight. That doesn't work in a restaurant. That's what we have to start thinking about. And all the ideas that Tim, and to Tim's point, and then I'll let Steve talk, is you can reach me at Glenn at PCG Companies, because again, we have an agency. We also do consulting. You can reach me all over social media at Glenn Pasch. It's very simple. I'll be more than happy to get on with a call with your general manager. I do it all the time. I talk to 2 or 3 general managers a week who are not my clients, because they're going, can I ask you a question, to help them get over that barrier to make your job a little easier. So we're here to help. Take advantage.
Thank you. Steve?
Yeah, no, I believe our company, what we're all about, what we like to do is teach our dealerships how we engage. I think if we talk to anybody here, Tim, Glenn, anybody, we do all our business via text and earn the right to get the customer on the phone. And I think that's what you got to do, is when you're partnering up with you know, whoever it is you're going to be working with, you know, mirror their communication, because that's how they got the deal. You know, and those were the partners that you got to look at. You got to look at how our business is going and who are going to be the right people to teach my team on how to communicate with our customers, so everything works in sync. But, you know, again, the less is more strategy is what works. And I will tell you, that is a strategy. I go out there and I preach. If, you know, again, next week we're doing a session with Tim with a dealership that literally turned it around, went from 7.2% internet closing percentage to 16%. And they did that, you know, in a period of less than 18 months. And again, they're going to talk about all their strategies. And that's what we try to do, is try to network our dealers within other dealers and share best practices. So, you know, if you're a dealer and you're on this and you're interested in kind of seeing the case study, just as a starting point, again, I won't pitch you or anything. As Tim says, what Glenn does, we like to educate, especially a CRM. It's a big switch. But if you have any questions, you can text me at 314-803-4334. Better yet, you can go to my LinkedIn or Facebook page, go to our YouTube channel at Drive Centric, and look at our videos, and you'll kind of see if we're a right fit for you as far as how you want to engage moving forward.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. Listen, if you're listening still, do not miss, again, thank you so much, guys. Do not miss this Thursday, a special edition. Get everybody you can in your dealership, and you say, hey, general manager, hey, dealer principal, we're going to have that. You can ask that, you know, the head of Facebook Automotive, any question that you want, you know, how to set your pixels, what ads to run, what's working, what's not working, and talk to a CMO that's literally flipped a dealership around in rural, not a big market, in rural Kentucky, and sold thousands and thousands of more cars year over year. Don't miss this Thursday, the 23rd at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. We're going to send you the registration. Listen, Glenn and Steve, I can't say it enough. I love you. Thank you so much for tuning in and jumping in,
again,
helping us. And guys, listen, thank you for being a part of Tim Talks. It keeps growing and growing and growing as more people register. And obviously it gets shared and shared. And now we've got people in Canada and Poland and now Colombia tuning in to try to get better. As always, nobody, especially these guys here, nobody's smarter than everyone. No one's smarter than everyone. And let's continue to get better together. God bless you. Thank you guys so much.
All right, guys.
Hey guys, take care, guys.